Hey, welcome back to Anti-King. How was everybody's weekend? We're back with another episode of the Underappreciated Career of, and today's a very special episode because I get to talk about Lake Bell. As I mentioned in the What Happens in Vegas video, Lake Bell is like the celebrity crush for me. I think she's gorgeous, I think she's an outstanding person, I think she's a fantastic artist to top it off. So excuse me if I fawn a little bit, but isn't that kind of the point of this series anyways? Let's get into it. Lake Bell was born in New York City on March 24th, 1979. She spent much of her childhood seemingly bouncing between New York and Connecticut before attending colleges both abroad and at home. She acted in several stage productions while abroad before landing her first film role in 2002's Speakeasy. I also remember in an interview how at the time Lake felt that getting her first movie role so late in her life wasted her quote-unquote hot years. She was 23. Anyways, she appeared in mostly short films and smaller productions throughout the mid-2000s, including a turn in 2006 Hillside Strangler movie. Here she is at 27, hot years clearly wasted. Bell at this time had seen most of her success come from TV, with a successful run on Boston Legal and a lead role in the show Surface. Surface was a fun science fiction thriller that was canceled after one season and has grown a fairly significant cult following since. It followed an interesting premise, but fell apart with the execution of said premise, in my opinion. In 2008, however, Lake took my favorite TV role of hers, and the reason I discovered who she is to begin with, as Cat Black in Children's Hospital. I'm gonna make a bold statement and say that this was one of the funniest TV shows of all time. Beginning as a series of webisodes on thewb.com, Rob Corddry, who I also love, created this off-the-wall parody of medical shows. The humor is absurd and ironic and dark at the right times. Lake's comedic chops are immediately impressive, and although her character is written, at least in the early seasons, as a somewhat unintelligent narcissist, she's incredibly endearing. I love the dynamic between her and Aaron Hayes in the first season, and with fellow underappreciated actor Malin Akerman in the seasons after. The show ran for 8 years and has developed an avid cult following I'm very much a part of. 2008 also saw Lake take some of her earliest successful film roles, taking parts in the sexy thriller Under Still Waters, quirky rom-com Over Her Dead Body alongside Eva Longoria, and the aforementioned What Happens in Vegas. The last two movies were legit, widely released movies, and certainly opened a lot of doors for her. She appeared alongside Meryl Streep in It's Complicated the following year, and began racking up one-off TV appearances left and right, including an early episode of New Girl that still stands as one of my favorites. In 2010, she starred as Rachel in all 16 episodes of the HBO dramedy How to Make It in America. And I know a lot of people loved it, and she's great in it, but honestly, I can't stand shows like this, and I could not get into it. Sorry. In 2011, she once again played third fiddle in an Ashton Kutcher rom-com, this time No Strings Attached, but that same year she appeared in the abhorrently underrated A Good Old-Fashioned Orgy. The comedy is a sincere and curious take on sexual exploration, as well as friendships and relationship dynamics. The entire cast eases you into what could potentially be an uncomfortable plot, but not so much that it's devoid of any tension or drama. And Lake's character Allison is front and center in this brilliant ensemble comedy. Her vulnerability and insecurity are both relatable and forthcoming, and yeah, this is another movie you should really check out if you haven't yet. The following year, she returned to horror in one of my favorite roles and performances of hers to date, in 2012's Black Rock. Black Rock was developed by Katie Aselton and Mark Duplass. I've never known how to say that guy's name. And stars Bell alongside Kate Bosworth and Aselton herself. Aselton? I don't know that one either. It's an incredibly tense thriller that uses a hauntingly realistic premise to drive genuine interaction between the characters. It's one of those movies that, for whatever reason, kind of went unnoticed, which is a shame. Bell brings an intensity to the role that puts her square in the company of Aselton and the magnetic Bosworth, who are no slouches themselves. Lake, and all three leading women honestly, brought a stunning physicality to their roles in a movie that called for a lot of it. Hearing her talk behind the scenes about the physically taxing process of filming these scenes only makes me appreciate them more. Diving in freezing water, enduring countless scrapes and scratches from rocks and flyaway branches, to enduring the elements while running through the cold woods fully nude at night. She really went through the ringer for this performance, and it pays off huge in the end. The following year, she made her debut as a director, writer, and producer, at least for a full-length feature, with the critically acclaimed and commonly highly regarded In a World. In the movie, Lake plays Carol Solomon, a struggling vocal coach whose famous father seemingly overshadows her at every turn. She plays Adrift with such tact and such endearing sarcasm and joyfulness. Seriously, I love her so much. In interviews, she often talked about having to find a way as a director to motivate herself as an actress, and the talk she would have herself in doing so just add another layer of relatability to a woman that honestly just oozes it. Seeing her fully realized passion project work so well after so many years of playing second or third fiddle to more widely acclaimed actors was exciting to say the least. She later followed it up with a less widely acclaimed I Do Until I Don't, and then later the TV series Bless This Mess, which was unfortunately cancelled. I hope this doesn't discourage her from pursuing the creative side of filmmaking in the future, because despite diminishing returns, I'm a huge fan of all those projects. The next year, she would appear in the G-rated baseball movie $1 Million Arm and voice a character in Mr. Peabody and Sherman. This is just one of several voice roles she's taken on, and maybe even become more well known for. Some of these include Vanessa Fisk in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, Mr. Peanut Butter's ex-wife Katrina in BoJack Horseman, and most recently and perhaps most notably as Poison Ivy in HBO Max animated series Harley Quinn. Maybe it's this love for voice acting that attracted her to a story like In a World. What I do know is that she took a role alongside Owen Wilson in 2015's No Escape. This role felt like a bit of a change of pace for Belle, as she rarely plays a responsible, or for lack of a better word, mature character. Here she's tasked with playing a mother who must keep her children safe when war erupts in a country they've relocated to for her husband's work. Once again, Belle's subtle affectations steal the part, and her impressive physicality makes short work of a very demanding role. The movie itself is a nail-biter, and Lake's panicked expressions lend to that very well. This role came at a time when Lake's personal life was also in transition, as she was married only a few months before the movie's production began, and had her first child during the production process. I can only imagine as her new role in life as a mother affected her performance as a mother. She's appeared in a few things here and there over the last 5 years, including the aforementioned self-produced projects, and has a few mostly undisclosed projects coming in the future. She's already carved out a fairly impressive career, despite having to quite literally create her own opportunities in an industry that just really didn't want to afford her one. Her performances can be endearing and they can be chilling. Off-screen, she's an incredibly relatable and lovable person, and a top-notch conversationalist from what I've seen in interviews. I can't find a bad thing to write about her or her work, honestly. Her career deserves to be held in higher regard, and man do I hope she can continue her little lake verse she created a couple years ago. But that's it, thanks again for watching this video. If you're not already, please subscribe. Later this week, I'm going to have the first of a new series with Forgotten 80s Gems, which will cover all the 80s slashers that slipped through the cracks of the 80s slasher boom. This first one's The Prowler, and it's a Tom Savini film. After that, I'm venturing back into the woods for part 3 of my Sasquatch series. I know none of y'all are watching these, but I really like making them. I think they're super funny, so whatever. Anyways, thanks again for watching, like and subscribe, and until next time, stay safe.